Grand evening, everyone. It is now Thursday, though I mean to do this earlier on Wednesdays in the evening around 8 p.m. or 20 hours Central Daylight Time. Though right now it is after midnight, it is 0 hour and 25 minutes. Now it is 26 minutes here in Texas Central Daylight Time on a Thursday. So sometimes it does end up being around this time. Other weekdays I will not really do it around this time. It's not going to get as high views at times and all of that. Though it is one second. This is also initially a live stream recording that is posted to my YouTube channel and right here on X. So we have some of the most historic breaking news and one of the largest developments that have happened in this entire war. We'll get into that shortly. See here. Not sure where we're gonna start here. We'll start right here. So, we had the 250th anniversary of the United States happen. What a luxury that is these days. And the biggest fireworks show in United States history also happened there in Washington, D.C. So that's very nice, and we have to be very grateful to have reached another 4th of July in this country with the same existing government, as it will not be much longer due to everything going on. No large government will survive what is coming, though people will, and after, or sometime in between, we still do have the 5D shift incoming. That is imminent, not the non-sensitive rapture or that BS that some people talk about often. So we're going to have this here. This is going to happen. China is going to soon invade Taiwan. Taiwan has revealed it is seeing an upward trend on Chinese naval activity, including joint drills with Russia. So the Chinese and the Russians are working closely together now. They are very close allies. They have total and close military alliances and connections and joint training, joint drills more specifically, as you can see there at the bottom, being reported by Polymarket in Taiwan. We cannot forget that the Chinese will soon invade Taiwan. That is another thing. Also here, from Douglas McGregor. Iran confirms attacks in the Strait of Hormuz after vessels attempted to navigate a U.S.-backed route. Iran has attacked now multiple ships in the Strait of Hormuz, which has had the retaliation of the United States. The U.S. has launched massive strikes on Iran. They've hit over 80 targets so far, including bridges and other critical infrastructure and military locations in Iran. President Trump also lifted all sanctions on Turkey. We'll get into that in a moment. And there's where I said and specified that. I heard it was over 80 different locations in Iran have been struck by the U.S. in recent days. I believe it was the last few days or so. It is ongoing, the bombings, and they are set to continue for days to weeks at minimum. That is what they are saying. It will go far beyond days and weeks. It is now total war. Iran has broken the ceasefire. They are not to be negotiated with or trusted when it comes to making deals and negotiations with them. They are not a culture and people like that for the most part. A lot of them are not. Iran is an extremist and oftentimes terrorist regime, so they are not to be trusted. They are not good people at all. It's quite an evil regime over there in Iran. President Trump himself even said, as you can see there from the Spectator Index and President Trump, he said the ceasefire memorandum of understanding with Iran is now over. It is confirmed by the president. One of the very few true statements from President Trump. This is what President Trump said recently, right there with President Zelensky of Ukraine.
A lot of people say they're very dishonorable people and they can't keep a deal. So we'll see. Now, as to whether or not Steve Witkoff, Jared, and JD and everybody working and that will talk, I guess they can talk, but I'm not seeing it with them. With the people. My whole life is deals. I don't see it. I don't see it with them. And there may be a big attack, and it'll knock out a lot of stuff. We don't knock out nothing. We knock out a lot. Pete, do you want to tell them about last night? Yes. A lot of people say they're very dishonorable people, and they can't keep a deal. So we'll see. Now, as to whether or not Steve Witkoff, Jared, and JD and everybody working and that will talk, I guess they can talk, but I'm not seeing it with them. With the people. My whole life is deals. I don't see it. I don't see it with them.
No deal is expected by even President Trump now with Iran. He even called them a dishonorable people because many people know and understand that Iran is an evil regime and they are very dishonorable, the current regime. They're not to be trusted. They are very dishonorable and quite an evil extremist as for religion and terroristic regime oftentimes. That was at the NATO summit, which was less than 24 hours ago. It may even still be ongoing. I don't know if it goes on for more than a day, though that was at the NATO summit there in Ankara, Turkey. President Trump met with Zelensky, as you saw there, and other NATO leaders. Even I think the Secretary General of NATO, he was very angry to find out that Iran broke the ceasefire. Other NATO countries were still trying to push for peace and a ceasefire in Ukraine, which is stupid. Ukraine is winning that war in a very big way. Uh, they might be losing land, though they've been causing catastrophic damage to their oil and gas infrastructure and other critical infrastructure there in Russia. President Trump also, as you can see here at the bottom, he also announced that he is giving Ukraine a license to manufacture Patriot missiles, a very advanced U.S. missile system. I believe, if I remember correctly, that is for air defense, the Patriot missile air defense system. It's often called an ADS system, or well, that's what they call air defense systems. ADS, that's the abbreviation. Uh, yep, like I said, the timeline's a lie. It is total war now. When referring to this right here, a U.S. official has said they are preparing for days to weeks of strikes against Iran. That's also from Axios. I believe he said we are going to slap them a bit so they understand we are not effing around. Uh, that's the least of what is going to happen. It is going to very much intensify and escalate as there is no deal expected with Iran. There is no peace deal that is going to appear out of thin air again when it comes to that. Any deal or anything of the sort with Iran. They are not like Russia or China or even North Korea. Iran is what it is. Evil all of the time. Very religious extremist regime. And they oftentimes conduct terroristic actions, terrorist attacks. And they support a lot of terrorist groups. They're proxies such as Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen. They are all proxies of Iran, all terrorist groups. We also have President Trump now suggesting taking Karg Island. That's been talked about for, I think, months now. If I remember correctly, that is where Iran has an oil facility and other infrastructure there. It's a very important and strategic location to take. And then from there, they could take some of the other islands and then the coastlines and then set up barricades and defenses and FOBs, forward operating bases, and set up artillery and maybe some airfields, all of that after taking some of those islands and the coastline there uh, by the Gulf states and on the shores of Iran. I don't even think, if I remember correctly, I don't think Iran is connected to that over there by the Strait of Hormuz. I would have to look. Though taking those islands would be a huge strategic advantage to deploy missiles from there, to deploy aircraft from there, and logistics and ground forces. Then it's also reported right after that Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz once again. The Strait of Hormuz is fully closed. It is total war over there in the Middle East. There is no memorandum of understanding going on. There is no peace deal going on right now, as the mainstream media has tried to push that all the way until for those other attacks happened on those commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. There were other attacks that happened before that. The ceasefire has been broken by Iran. So I think I have some further news. Um, we did have the NATO meeting in Turkey that happened. Poland. I don't know if I talked about Poland much yet. Poland is going to be attacked by Russia. Here it is. Let's see. There it is from BRICS News as well. July 3rd. Russia is planning to attack Poland to test NATO's response. The US has intelligence of that. So Poland is going to be attacked by Russia. It is not an if. There is confirmed intelligence. Poland has been warned. It is now a matter of what Russia is going to do as for an attack on Poland. We don't know yet if it's going to be with ground forces. That's not very likely. Maybe they'll do some kind of drone attacks on Poland and potential bombings on their cities or capital, maybe both. Though Russia is going to attack Poland, which Poland right now is one of the most powerful militaries in Europe, arguably the most powerful. Poland has been preparing to fight Russia for years. They've seen this coming. So it's going to intensify in a very big way. It's going to escalate a whole lot further, likely when Russia attacks Poland. Even that threat is a very big, big and historic deal. It is one of the most historic things to happen in this entire war. An attack on Poland, which is a NATO country, will bring in the rest of NATO. It won't just test NATO's response. The entirety of NATO will go and support Poland. They will not be left alone to fight Russia. They are supporting the right next door neighbor, Ukraine. Ukraine's been supported for years, though NATO will directly support Poland if Poland is attacked. It's pretty crazy that Russia is attacking Poland, one of the most powerful militaries in the entire world, while Russia is battered and beat down when it comes to their resources. They have a lot of oil and gas shortages. I mentioned part of that earlier. There's lines for hours waiting for fuel in Russia. Many oil refineries have been destroyed by Ukrainian drones. Ukraine has also launched and used their Flamingo missiles, which is more advanced than even Tomahawk missiles, and they've used those on Russia as well recently. So Russia's really been getting beaten by Ukraine recently, and Russia's getting more desperate. And I could see Russia using nuclear weapons very soon, especially on Poland. Poland is not Ukraine. They might not want Poland as intact as Ukraine. So maybe they'll use a nuclear weapon on Poland first. Or France. We'll see. We'll see which one it is. Now Russia is going to attack a NATO country, and they've also been planning to attack the Baltic States for some time now. Those are also NATO countries. They're very much smaller and not as strong as Poland, though they are also NATO countries, and NATO will fully support a country that a NATO country that gets attacked. Europe will fully support a NATO country that gets attacked by Russia. So lots of intensification in this war. Lots of new developments. The bombings on Iran are happening, I think, even now as I speak. Over 80 targets were hit in Iran. The US, I expect, will also respond right away when Poland is attacked. The US is very close allies with Poland as well. The president has had very good relations with Poland on top of that. So it's going to get a lot more intense. Things are going into more of the World War III most people see and know it as. All countries just about fighting one another. That is what it is escalating and intensifying into. That's what happens with war. The fires of war spread from one nation to another. That's how it's like a powder keg effect. It's happened with the previous world wars, World War One and World War Two. So please keep on preparing. We could even expect things to happen more domestically here in the United States. We have to be very vigilant for terrorist attacks and attacks even from Cuba. We cannot forget the U.S. intends to invade and probably occupy Cuba, which their power grid it's collapsed in Cuba, makes things a lot easier to deal with as for an invasion. So we'll see what happens with Cuba. We have to be very vigilant about the nuclear threat, about terrorist attacks, and we must keep on preparing physically, mentally, and spiritually. This has gone on for quite some time, 25 minutes. I try to keep these under 30. So keep on preparing. I always recommend physical assets, especially foods, such as freeze-dried foods and storable foods and dry foods, foods that last the longest. Food is a currency in itself, and it is very valuable. Sometimes it might even have the possibility of being more valuable than gold or silver, though those are also the best overall, I would say, physical assets, gold and silver. As for oil, the price of oil has gone up about $10, I think more than that, since I've last been on here before this tonight. The price of oil is skyrocketing as I've expected it would after the 4th of July weekend. I expected the price of oil to absolutely skyrocket and things to really intensify. Not much happens around mainly the 4th of July. It's like the world waits. It's a very big deal for the entire world, especially it being America's 250th anniversary. The 4th of July has always been a very big holiday, and it was recognized all around the world for the 250th anniversary. The war does not wait for any holiday or anything like that from this point, from days ago onwards. I don't think it'll wait for the markets anymore either. I really recommend everyone who may still be in the markets to get out of them entirely. As for the stock market, even the gold and silver markets, those aren't good things to be in. You want to have those assets physically, not in a market and not somewhere where you or someone else can't even get to. So please keep on preparing, keep on stocking up while you still can. Keep on preparing, as I said before, physically, mentally, and spiritually. This is going to get far more intense. It is getting really into this war now, this total kinetic phase has really intensified into a way more people understand. Though it will be too late for the masses, most of them will not survive what is coming. That is why everyone must prepare for what is coming in all three of those ways I recommend. Once again, this has gone on for some time. I will be back with more breaking news, personal analysis, and recommendations. I would say technically tomorrow, Friday evening, around 8 in the evening, Central Daylight Time, as it's still, unfortunately, Daylight Savings Time. For now, as always, at the end of these, love, light, and blessings to you all.